Welcome, Ground Passers. It's been a chaotic intro. We're watching Gael Monfils right now in a fifth set on Philippe Chatrier at Roland Garros, and it's the last match of round one. What we're going to do for Roland Garros is we're going to come to you at the end of each round and just give you the highlights, the tidbits of that round because, as we know, not everyone is as obsessed with tennis as we are. So we are here to give you the TLDR, or as I'm going to be saying, TLDW. Too long, didn't watch. We will round it all up for you. And, Nick has already been talking about what our favorite match moment of Roland Garros is for the first round. And I made a whole list. I made a whole rundown. I made a list. But Nick, like you said, I think that's all out of the window. This is it. This is our favorite moment, collectively, I think, of round one.
Yes, has to be, because who doesn't love Gael Monfils' heroics on Philippe Chatrier, playing out of his mind, playing like he's 18 and trying to impress everybody.
Yeah.
And showing the still life in it, and he is such a fun player to watch. He's so amazing, and the crowd's getting behind him, and it's just a fabulous atmosphere. So absolutely, it has to be this. No other spectacle.
Yeah.
So far has compared.
Can top it. No, not at all. So as the match continues on, Gael he has a double break up in the fifth, leading 4-0. I do want to say, though, I think the main theme of round one has been upsets. I just don't remember a Grand Slam in recent times that had this many upsets. And so even though I'm going to edit this podcast, I will probably reveal at this point is that we're live by mistake. So just to include anyone who is watching us live, if you do want to also let us know what your favorite upset was from this first round, let us know in the chat, make it interactive. But yeah, Nick, it's just been upset every single day. I feel like I wake up to a new thing. I wake up to a new crazy, just out of nowhere match. So I think yesterday I recorded one of our match stories, and these are very short videos. They run from 3 minutes to 7 minutes, but I just wanted an outlet to be able to talk about matches without it being 300 characters. Look at you go. Good things are happening when Nick is cheering. But, I made a short thing about upsets and the different sorts of upsets that I think exist. For you in this first round, what have been some of your craziest upsets, maybe most unlikely upsets?
Interesting, because there's a different category of upset, isn't there? Because there's the upset where, by seed it's the upset, right? And then there's the upset of someone who's actually playing well. So to contrast two different things, Taylor Fritz is out. Taylor Fritz is the fourth seed.
Yeah.
That should be the most seismic outcome of round one. It wasn't, but he lost to Daniel Altmaier, who has a track record of beating good players on Roland Garros, and Taylor's not been playing amazing on clay. Maitland, by the way, in the live chat, I agree. Wimbledon 2022 was chaotic as well, and probably way more chaotic than this. But then you look at, and Daniel Altmaier's beating Yannick Sinner at Roland Garros in 5 sets, just to give you a picture of his track record with these things. And then you look at someone like Franz Cerundolo or Marta Kostya, because we talked about on our intended live show back on Sunday. Franz Cerundolo losing to Gabriel Diallo, who, I kind of thought Diallo would make Fran's life hard. I did not think it was going to actually beat Cerundolo in
straight sets.
He did. And Cerundolo's been one of the best players of the clay court season. So that's the other kind of upset that we're talking about here. And then there's the upset that's kind of the upset on paper, and then you're looking at going, that match was a 50-50, which was Daniel Medvedev against Cameron Norrie. Which
was that a 50-50 for you, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I know that Medvedev doesn't like playing on clay. Cameron Norrie loves playing on clay. They both love a long rally. I felt like basically Medvedev would either outlast Norrie or Norrie would find a way of moving Medvedev around.
Yeah.
On it. And, well, I didn't see the match. I had Radio Roland Garros on in my ear during work, and then I had a meeting during the 5th set, so I couldn't actually hear what happened. So
yeah. It was actually it was a very interesting match because I was watching it with The Rally, which is TNT's kind of like roundtable show in the background. So they were talking about it. Chris Eubanks was talking about the match as it was going on. And he mentioned something. So, Medvedev loses the first 2 sets. And apparently, which I didn't notice, but Chris Eubanks noticed, and they talked about it throughout the rest of the match, is he had a certain string setup in his racket. I think he was playing with some natural gut, I believe, and like a mix. It was like a mix of 2 different materials in his string. And after losing the first 2 sets, he changes his racket with different strings to make them all poly strings, which Chris noticed. And then he won the next 2 sets. And I just thought, well, that is a crazy, just thing to happen in the middle of a match. And it totally flipped the match completely. It seems like, Medvedev had a lot more control and things like that. So that was a very interesting sort of backstory to everything happening. And I do think the 5th set was very close. It was a very close 5th set, but Cam just came out on the other side, the winner. It's funny because Maitland's kind of bringing up something in the chat here where she says, Big Brother Cerundolo, she had him beating Zverev. That's what happens with these first round upsets. They completely, everyone's bracket is in flames right now because I think there were so many people that people thought, oh, for sure. Let's take Peyton Stearns and Ava Lease that we talked about before. So many people had Peyton Stearns going pretty far in the tournament. And she's out in the first round,
And then there's the other kind of upset, which is maybe the upsets we predict. So I thought Jessica Buzash-Monero would beat Emma Navarro.
No, you did not.
I did. I called it on another stream.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I have there's another podcast I'm involved with that just covers the WTA, and I said that's Emma Navarro is probably losing to Jessica Buzash-Monero. Or words to that effect. I didn't think it was going to be 6-love, 6-1. That was the scale of it. That was I thought Emma would put up more of a fight because Jessica Buzash-Monero has a record like Daniel Ottmeyer of beating top players at Grand Slams and at Billie Jean King Cup as well. So that is a result that I thought would probably happen. I think the surprise was how the scale of it, because also Emma Navarro didn't have form, a bit like Medvedev and Fritz, like we've talked about. So sometimes the scale of the result is the surprise. Or a match that I will put on my watch list because I think it's going 5 sets, not going 5 sets, which finally happened today, but the first 2 picks hadn't necessarily gone that way.
Right. But so, upsets are a very fascinating thing. If you want to hear me talk about them more and kind of break down the 5 different matches that I thought were worth talking about, I would have put Cam Norrie and Medvedev on that list, but that happened today and the video came out yesterday. So what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description of this podcast so you can check it out. Some other fun matches and just moments from round 1, like things that we want to remember that we'll probably come back next year and be like, remember when that happened? One thing for me is just about a few young Americans making it to the second round. I've kind of been following them throughout the season and they've been doing well. And it's nice to see them going into the next round. One of them is Hailey Baptiste. She beat Beatrice Haddad-Mayer today. That was a 3-set match. And then in a different light, Ethan Quinn defeated in quotations, Grigor Dimitrov, because Grigor Dimitrov was comfortable in that match. He was leading the match by 2-0, and then Ethan Quinn takes a 3rd set, and then Dimitrov retires. So I think he sustained a leg injury of some nature, either during the 3rd set or right after the 3rd set. So that was unfortunate to see Dimitrov retire. But I am happy that Ethan does get to stick with the tournament and go into the second round. And the funny thing about that is he plays lucky loser Shevchenko in the next round. So
good chance for Quinn, especially since he's showing he's pretty good on clay. We've seen that at low levels on the clay season. Anastasia, are you going to want to watch this point? Maybe not the point I'm watching right now. Yeah, you're going to want to watch match point.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
whilst Anastasia watches that, because I've just seen the outcome, Ethan Quinn, huge results on clay. And I will say, like, although I've been kind of saying, yeah, I called the upset, I called this upset. Gael Monfils is 3 people. That is a huge result. The result I didn't call was Baptiste, because everyone was going on about Haddad Maia Baptiste being one of the potentially best matches of the first round. And I was like, I mean, I guess Baptiste has got some potential, but I thought Beatrice Haddad Maia on clay is such a tough challenge, and I wasn't seeing Baptiste's form being that good. So I'm going to put this out there as one of those things I was wrong about. And Hailey Baptiste is not a name I tend to follow that closely because she's 23, and I tend to try and look at breakout players being much younger.
Yeah.
So Haddad Maia beating her on clay is a really, really strong result. Credit to Baptiste for doing that.
Some other sort of fun matches. I think we always kind of want to know what Alex Eala is doing in a tournament these days. She is definitely the it girl. Like, if the WTA had an it girl of the moment where everyone was following like what she was doing and where she was going and what the next tournament is, Alex Eala is like the perfect it girl of the WTA. And she unfortunately lost in the first round to Emiliana Arango, who is a player that I really love to watch. Like, she has this thing where she's the only WTA player, Nick, right, that wears the backwards hat. She just looks cool, you know. But I didn't realize that Alex Eala is playing doubles. I was very shocked when I was like flipping through matches and I saw her playing doubles, and I watched her play with Zarazua, who's a Mexican player, and they won their first round match. So Alex Eala is still at Roland Garros, and she will be playing doubles and is on to the second round. So that is definitely someone to look out for. And then Nick, I'm going to let you wax lyrical about this one, because I think Iga Swiatek really looked good in her first round match.
Oh, she did. By the way, Alex Eala her progress through the draw is probably making the Birmingham organisers sweat, because she's actually entered a challenger next week.
You were telling me about that.
And if she's on grass, and if she progresses really well in the doubles, which actually looks like she is, because her expected opponents look like they've... Oh, wait, no, that was the first round.
Okay.
Yeah, second round are Danilovic Potapova, which is also winnable. Like, if she keeps going, then she might have to withdraw from Birmingham, because Grand Slam doubles tops that. But going back to Iga Swiatek, I thought she looked good because Rebecca Schramkova looked good. Like, Rebecca Schramkova is a player that we've hyped up on Ground Pass before. She's been a former player for the Fortnight. I think we gave her WTA Player of the Year for Ground Pass in our awards show at the end of the season. And she tried to take it to Iga. Like, that first set was tough. She came out swinging in the second, got the early break, and I thought, oh, here we go, we're going 3. And Iga just said, okay, is that what you got? I got this. And basically played really, for her, like, better than solid tennis. And she just upped the game and looked like the queen of Roland Garros that she is. And if, for those of you who don't know, maybe new around here, Iga Swiatek is my favourite player. And I was very happy to see this, especially given she has looked a lot shakier in recent tournaments. So, hey, look, maybe it's because she's been at Roland Garros for like 10 days. She literally left Rome, went straight to Roland Garros, and just practiced on these courts non-stop. And Iga said in other interviews that when she feels comfortable and when she feels like, you know, she's kind of in a comfort zone, she's going to be playing her best, and she's always chasing feeling good on court. She's feeling good at Roland Garros. I think all of our doubts about her have to go out the window. She was so good. She turned that match around with very little fuss. And although she probably has the most hyped match with Emma Raducanu tomorrow, because, let's face it, it's 2 Grand Slam champions in round 2. I think Emma's got a lot to worry about.
Yeah, no, I really do, because you're right about Schramkova. She it's not like she rolled over or anything like that. No, she came out swinging and was playing so well. So to have Iga, you know, and she was up a break at some points, you know what I mean? So to have Iga be so even keeled and just like turn it on, I definitely was less kind of worried about her draw after that first round match. I was like, this is Iga's tournament, people. She's here to play. And, it was one of those things where I definitely thought, okay, now we have a tournament. This is going to be fun, especially if she gets to the later rounds. Like, that is going to be fun.
Okay, everyone's waiting to see if she's going to play in round 4, either Elena Rybakina or Yelena Ostapenko. Both are bad news usually for her.
Yeah. Other little things coming up. Okay, you haven't really watched that much tennis today because you were at work and stuff, but the French crowd moment of the day, or moment of round 1, had to be at Jakub Mensic's match against Alexander Muller. It was chaos. And I was so impressed. Mensik was pulling a Novak. He was doing the whole conducting the crowd, let me hear it. He was doing the full Novak.
When you say full Novak, are we at Daniel Medvedev levels yet?
Not really. We were not that far into it for sure. He was still very kind of like, let's do it. And he didn't pull out the tiny violin. He didn't do that part. But he definitely, he conducted the crowd. I heard some comments that he made after press where he said the exact same thing Novak says, where it's like, they were cheering for the other player, but all I heard was my name. And it was a tough match, conditions for him to go through. He definitely was. He was trying to hide it. You could tell he was trying to hide it, but he was definitely cramping and his legs were gone by the last set there. But he held his, he kept his cool and he won the match. And it was, his serving. The kid can serve, man. If you haven't watched a Jakub Mensik match, just do it because he can serve. And it was really, really great. I think it was a good match to get through. Like, it was a tough kind of not only physical match, but also mental, because he had to not let the crowd get to him. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment that happened today.
And that's impressive because remember, guys, he's 19. If that's his reaction as a 19-year-old, he's going to be tough to beat over the course of a match, particularly 5 sets, which he has shown a little bit over his career so far.
Right. Okay, this is actually pretty sad. Okay. Did you watch Novak versus Hubie in Geneva?
I did, yes. I saw Hubie somewhat getting heartbroken, as so many opponents of Novak have been over the years. I remember watching that aftermath of him looking absolutely distraught. Like, he had the opportunity to win and he didn't take it because he had this game, and Novak just came and took over the match. And I remember thinking, that's what I've seen Novak do for 15, 20 years. Only difference this time was I was actually rooting for Novak because I wanted title 100.
Yeah, you wanted title 100, but I just felt so bad for Hubie because I think it's his 8th loss. It's 8-0 to Novak. But either way, he was just really sad. So having that moment and then having João Fonseca be your first round match at Roland Garros with the Brazilian crowd on a tiny court, I feel like that was just cruel. That was just not fair. That was something I felt so horrible for Hubie. And he lost that match in straight sets. And it was pretty... I usually don't feel sad for players. I'm like, it's a sport. They play a sport. Some people lose, some people win. But I felt that was really sad. That was really, really sad watching a Hubie lose that match.
Himself back up on the grass, especially if he plays colour, because he loves playing there.
Yeah. No, he does. So those were, do you have any other moments? But I think that was pretty much it, unless you had any other thing, yeah?
Because, as I said, I couldn't watch tennis today, not without getting fired. So,
and we don't want that.
No. Otherwise, I'm going to need to figure out how to make tennis pay for my life.
For your life, yeah. But okay, so that was the first round of Roland Garros, guys. I think it was fun. I think it delivered an entertainment, especially that last match that we just watched. Gael Monfils, you are a star and an entertainer. And please never leave. Just never leave. Just play one match every tournament. That's all we care about. So that was first round. It's time for the second round. What are the second round matchups that we are looking forward to? Do you want to go first? You go first.
I hate you, Anastasia.
I stole your match?
No. You have to make me pick from
Oh,
like half of the women's draw. Let's be honest, because I looked at it and I went, yes, yes, yes. And then I had to kind of rank it and like go, well, that could not work out because this, or it could get messy. Like you've got matches like Krejcikova for Kudermetova who always play really chaotic but really close matches, but it's gonna be an error fest.
Mm-hmm.
Or Swiatek Raducanu I'm looking forward to because I like Swiatek and I like Emma. So
yeah.
there's that. I am going to cheat a little bit and I'm going to move one of my match picks to later on in the podcast for a different question.
Okay.
I think the match I kind of settled on after going back and forth. Also, you did steal a good match on the women's side, by the way.
I did.
Madison Keys against Katie Bolter. And
okay.
I wanted to have kind of a balance of second round tomorrow versus second round. Actually, I think I've picked two matches that are happening I've got a match that's happening tomorrow and a match that's happening the day after. No, they're both happening in 2 days' time. But anyway.
Yeah.
You've got two tomorrow. So
yeah.
I think it balances. Madison Keys and Katie Bolter. Or I should say Claytie Bolter, because she's on a clay winning streak right now in Paris because she won the Paris 125K, which is unexpected because Katie historically hasn't looked great on clay. And then her comeback win in her first round match I thought was really impressive because she just, after losing a tight first set, she crushed her opponent. And then you've got Madison Keys, who does have history with the French, but as incoming semi-finals, she's having a good year. I was really impressed again by the way that she just came through that first round match against Daria Saville. But I think clay is an opportunity for Katie to maybe use her. I'm interested to see what Katie's newfound confidence looks like against Madison, especially given that Katie does not back down from a fight. We saw that against Iga Swiatek earlier in the year at the United Cup. We've seen it from Katie Bolter at Wimbledon against some top-ranked opponents like Karolina Pliskova, where she's just not backed down. I think she also really tried to have a go at Sabalenka one year. Not like have a go in a way that's like, being mean, but in a more aggressive, like with her words, but with the tennis. And I think she's going to want to do that with Madison Keys. And I think, I have a feeling that one's going to be a proper sort of battle between those two. And I'm excited to see where that one goes. Alternatively, Madison could just sweep Katie aside. That's the risk with rolling the dice on this one. But hey, I'm going to go with it.
Yeah. No, that's a good pick. I hadn't even noticed that they were playing second round. I think the match that you were saying that I stole, which I am so excited for, is Evalise versus Victoria Mboko. I will talk about it more because it is my watch list match of tomorrow for sure. So I will talk about it more then, but that is definitely one to watch. The second one is not Gael Monfils, although whoever he plays next, we're watching that.
Successor.
It is his spiritual successor. Name. Yes, we are talking about Arthur Fils and Jaume Munar. This I am very excited for because two things are happening here. Arthur Fils, up until yesterday, had never won a match at Roland Garros ever. And as sort of the up-and-coming French player who everyone thinks is, he's the next kind of Gael Monfils. He'll be in the top 10, hopefully win Grand Slams for France, like that. He's the next guy. The fact that he'd never won one match at Roland Garros was kind of crazy. So he got over that hurdle yesterday. And what it might do, though, is then catapult him. Like he has those nerves are gone, he can play freely now, and he's being paired up with Jaume Munar, who has surprisingly had a good year, on the hard courts in America. He was winning matches and getting to the later end of tournaments. And I thought it was out of nowhere because he's always a Spanish player that I'd seen, but he'd never really done well. He hasn't done well during the clay season, which as again, a Spanish player, like really, this is your home. This is where you're supposed to nail it. But here he is in the second round playing Arthur Fils. So it should be an interesting match. Do we get the Jaume Munar who's been like getting to quarterfinals and semifinals and things like that? Or does Arthur Fils kind of like, move him aside and be like, I am a top 10 player. Go away.
Did you also pick this match because Arthur Fils is your favorite player?
No, no. I only have one favorite player. His name is Rafa Nadal, and he doesn't play tennis anymore. Apparently, he might be playing golf soon, so maybe I'll become interested in golf or something.
Not
So we'll
enough for
see.
Anastasia. The F1 was enough.
I know the F1 is enough. But yes, so that I'm very excited. I'm very excited about that match.
Well, I'm going for Gael Monfils' next match as my the other match I'm looking forward to, because he's playing Jack Draper.
Mm.
That is definitely going to be another Philippe Chatrier night match. I mean, hopefully, we were comparing that 2023 match that Monfils played with Sebastian Baez, and I have to remind us that Monfils then withdrew from the tournament after beating Baez.
Right.
He's looking a lot healthier this year, and I'm interested to see how Jack Draper deals with the French crowd. I'm interested to see how Monfils deals with someone who hits quite heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think there's going to be shenanigans on that court. I think they're both going to absolutely go for it, and it's going to be another great atmosphere, and there's going to be some great tennis on display there. So yeah, I am picking Jack Draper and Gael Monfils as my men's choice for second round match. I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Speaking of Jack Draper and just British players in general, because you also brought up Katie Boulter, the Brits, they did so well. 5 players into the second round.
And given they all lost last year in like the first round, that's pretty impressive. So I'm very happy to see that result. Yeah, I think only Jodie Barish didn't make it to round 2. So yeah, big, and she pushed Danielle Collins pretty hard. So Brits on clay, I guess we're okay at that now. So. Good news there for that. Yeah, historically, we've not cared much about Roland Garros, but
it's good
now.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you have Jack Draper and people keep comparing him to Rafa, and I'm like, everyone slow down.
Yeah,
slow down, everybody.
He's not Rafa. Like, he's good, but he's not Rafa.
Yeah, it's the forehand. I get it. Lefty forehand, whippy. I get it. Okay, time to wrap it up. Again, this has been so good. We did not mean to be live at all. So thank you for everyone here watching us live. This was completely a mistake. We are going to end this mini pod episode with our must-watch match to watch tomorrow. Mine, I said it earlier, Eala versus Victoria Mboko. Victoria Mboko is someone I already put on our must-watch qualifiers list throughout this tournament, so I was going to watch her matches anyway. But then putting her against Eala, who at the time, this was supposed to be the sort of like the Mboko Peyton Stearns match. I think that's what a lot of people had penciled into this second round. Eala just comes in and is now sort of the surprise, and it's how... I don't know how this is going to go. Eala has kind of made her name for herself as a lucky loser. She got to the 4th round of the Australian Open as a lucky loser. She was in this round, in this tournament, based on her ranking. So it will be very interesting to see what this, matchup is on clay. And they're both great players. And I just think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a good one no matter what it is.
Nice. I agree. I think it's a great story regardless, which I think is the most important thing. I'm going to say I'm proud of us for our pick, because today we both picked men's matches for today's play. And I am very happy that my prediction of 5 sets between Arnaldi and Felix happened.
Yeah.
Maybe not the way it happened, but we'll get there. But today we're both picking women's matches. Because today and we didn't even think about it. Like, we do these independently, so it's kind of interesting that yesterday we independently chose men's matches, and today we're independently choosing both women's matches. And I already knew when I looked at the draw which match I was going to like. I agonized over this choice yesterday.
Okay,
but I have gone for it, and I'm going for Olga Danilovic against Danielle Collins as the must-watch match tomorrow. And here's why. They've played twice before. Last year, both of them. The first time they played was in Madrid, and Danielle Collins won in an incredibly tight, deciding tiebreak. Then the second time they played was at Roland Garros last year, which I think, had Iga Naomi not happened, would have been the match of the tournament. because Collins served for the match in the second set and Djokovic came back and won it in 3. Rival with Djokovic's then epic win against Donna Vekic the following round. Given that track record, given they're both great fighters, it's going to get spicy on court. It's going to be tough. This has got 3-setter working like all over it. I have to go for, once again, it seems to be my favourite court because I picked court 6 matches 3 days in a row. Olga Danilovic versus Danielle Collins is my pick.
Awesome. I'm looking at the chat and I see John, who's in the chat now. Hi, John. Also remembers that rematch from last year. So there you go. There you go. We're all going to be looking at that one. So yeah, thank you again, everyone, for joining us on this episode of Ground Pass. Like I said in the beginning, we will be coming to you at the end of every round to just discuss the highlights, the matches, the fun times, maybe not the fun times of the tournament. And again, thank you everyone who stumbled on our mistaken live feed. You are getting this live. I am going to be making this video private the moment we turn off the cameras. And I will edit the podcast though, and we'll put it up again. If you've liked this, please subscribe. Please give us a thumbs up and a 5-star rating on a podcast listener of your choice. And we will see you in a couple of days with a new podcast. Bye, everyone.